Hey guys, welcome back to another episode with the Bearded Specialist. This is for all your low voltage needs, tools, and skills. Today we're going to be going over a modular packout kit or packing system for toolboxes, tools, parts, miscellaneous materials, just to show you what I like to use and what I think everybody could take an advantage from to sort of save time and be organized. We all like to be organized. A lot of us in low voltage trade are pretty OCD about the things that we do, and we're very controlling over our tools because tools are expensive. Some tools cost several hours worth of pay in order to replace them, so it's pretty terrible when somebody steals anything. So that's one thing we'll talk about with these toolboxes, how to lock them up, and why I think they're one of the best investments you can make, even if you're not a low voltage technician or electrician. So if you look at the three boxes we have in front of us, or the three systems we have in front of us, these are not the only systems out there. These are just the ones that I had available to me. The rigid kit in the center, that is my original kit. I've had that for nearly 10 years at this point. Well, no, that's about 8 years. Whenever I replaced that those rigid boxes with my Milwaukee Packout kit, I went ahead and donated those to my brother. And as you can see, he liked it so much, he's already bought another box to add to it. And he's got several more in his shed or other ones at the store that he's going to be buying in the near future. Same thing with me with the Packout kit. Even though I've got that tower of boxes, I want more. Definitely want more. There's all kinds of different boxes and kits and tools that I don't have yet that work with it, but we'll get in details later. So, the first thing we should talk about, right, are these bags, these toolboxes. This is typically how most of us low voltage techs get our start. We didn't have all these Packout kits back when I first started doing this in the early 2000s. So, this is just a bag. I've got it full of other bags right now, but this was how I used to carry all of my tools with me. Is I bought the tool sets. Technically, I bought rigid tools because I didn't have any money. I had just gotten out of the military and needed a way to get started with the low voltage industry. I just packed up, moved states, bought a car. It was just a really rough time. Like I was skipping breakfast and lunch. I was only eating dinner because I didn't have enough money. So I bought rigid tools just so I could show up for work and look prepared, even though I wasn't. So everything I did was carried around in these generic bags that come with the tools you buy, just so I could start to collect a paycheck and make money with my job. So this is a good way to get started and then save your money until you can afford some of these other modular kits. This is a tackle box. Like, no kidding. Back in 2008, 2010, Bass Pro Shop put these on sale, and we were able to buy, I think if you bought two, you got them for $20 a piece. So we started buying up a bunch of these whenever I was working with the building automation crew. The reason these are amazing at the time is because we didn't have those organizers, but we needed a way to keep all of our terminal blocks separated, right? So, because we always have these separate little pieces, these end caps, grounding blocks, the whites, fuse blocks, so we needed a way to keep that nice and organized. And toolboxes were great because you had the little slide in, slide out pieces where you can change how big the compartments are. It was nice, it was cheap, it was affordable, it was semi-clear top so you could see where everything was. Well, I haven't opened it up. You open up the second bottom piece so we could keep everything separate down here. Easier to keep count. And as you can see, I've still got it full today until I buy another Milwaukee kit. And then I'll pull all these out and put them in there. The one downfall to using a tackle box like this is the plastic is really soft and brittle. It can break if you throw something in the back of your truck that's too heavy for it. Or, a piece of conduit hits it too hard, it'll go right through it. At the same time, it is not watertight. So water can get in here, rust out all your screws and pieces. So those are the only two downfalls to that. Obviously, the bag's not waterproof. The bag is just there to help carry. The next box that I use for trying to organize my truck is, this is like a generic Craftsman box. Milwaukee does make some like this. DeWalt makes some. There's a bunch of different varieties. Rubbermaid makes a few. I used to carry all my screws in here. As you can see, I've still got several different types of screws in here. Makes it easy to organize. I've got fender washers, a bunch of different types of fasteners. I keep this in my garage for home use, but I used to carry all my work stuff around in here. And it worked pretty well, but if these plastic clips are real brittle, they break easy, they don't seal pretty well. Like if something catches it, it'll pop it up and then everything goes everywhere. It doesn't hold it tight enough to the frame of the box, so stuff gets mixed up once in a while if it's smaller screws. And these clips on the end are made to help hold the lid down, and they're also made for other of these boxes to stack on top, but it still falls apart pretty easy. And the advantage to these is cost. They're extremely cost efficient. If you buy the right sizes, they work pretty well in a truck with, say, a camper shell or a van that's got shelves in it. If you want to save money and not spend, you know, 20, 30 bucks a piece on those boxes, you can spend like 15 bucks and get 2 to 3 of these. Next up, we have this hard Milwaukee case. I bought this because I was wanting something that I could put a lock on. So obviously we've got a lock on the top. If we look back over here, no way to lock up any of this. You could kind of lock the bag with the zippers, but by buying one of those really tiny locks. But if you're just buying one of those, I mean, most of us can cut those open with a pair of pliers, so not really safe. So for the little bit of money I saved up, I bought this. It doubled up as a stool for me. That way I could stand up on it or I could sit on it while working on my laptop. Even though it's got the big no step symbol, you know how we do it. As long as you stand on the edges, it's probably not going to break. Don't stand in the middle. And this got me through for a couple of years. These clips break easy. As you can see, I've got one that's broken. It still functions, but the plastic broke off of it because a piece of conduit caught on it. And right now, it's just kind of a catch-all for a bunch of extra bits and screwdriver pieces where the tips and stuff are broken over time. We'll talk about pouches later. All right, so random tools, and that's all I'm using it for now, is just you know, extra stuff or things that are just sort of lost. Now we get into the high dollar, nice things. Rigid is a little bit cheaper than Milwaukee or DeWalt. Just like the tools, Rigid is still a little bit cheaper than the others. Very high quality. I still like them. I've still used a lot of them over time. I just prefer Milwaukee because of the cost being higher. Not as many people have it, but it is becoming more and more common. So let's look in the top, right? My brother just put in a bunch of his fasteners that he uses at his house. He's not a low voltage tech per se anymore as far as actually working on things or putting things in and doing the install. He is a IT guy. So he doesn't have to carry his tools with him. He just carries a laptop. So if we look at these modular containers, one of the best things, DeWalt does it, Milwaukee does it, Rigid obviously does it. These trays pull out, right? So when you're on a job site and you need to carry a bunch of self-tapping screws around, wire caps, you're working in a panel, right? And you need some wire caps up there. You just grab them and pull them out. If you don't need all this, these dividers do come out. It works really well. Nice deep container. One thing you'll notice on these, the taller or the rigid boxes that go on top, they have a separate lock hole. If you look at these rigid boxes, this is where the lock goes. My brother didn't give it to me when I picked this up from him the other day. There's a rod that slides down through here that you put a lock through, and it locks all 3 of your boxes together. Keeps the top from the top one being able to open. And if you can't open the top one, you can't pull it off or do anything else with the rest of them because it's all locked together with that same bar. Milwaukee, on the other hand, that's probably one of my few complaints. There is no way for me to lock all of my larger boxes. The reason that's important is because it's typically where we keep our tools at. And we don't want those to go missing, or we keep parts and pieces in them. The smaller boxes, they do have a lock hole. So, and all the large boxes, like I said, they've got the hole. It's just not a good way for us to lock everything together. And you can always just push up and then pull out on the box, and that separates it. So if you only had one box locked, thinking it was going to keep the other one nice and secure, just don't rely on that. So we've seen this top box for Rigid. Rigid's design system for stacking is they just clip together on the sides. So that's all that's holding it on there, one on either side. They actually hold pretty well, but they do come loose, right? If you're driving around, sliding around letting your box slide around too much, they will pop loose, and then the box is going to go for a ride. But it'll still hold together and keep all your stuff from bouncing out. The handles are all nice. They fold away so you can't break them. Alright, so as you can see, this box saw a lot of use for me. Rode around in the back of my truck for years. Oh, gotta put the handle down. One thing I liked about Rigid, the release mechanism for the handle to slide up and down is on the top of the handle. And then it slides all the way down into the base of the bottom box. So we can look in here. It's a good place to keep a bunch of just random tools, materials. You still got some dividers on the side for organization. There's a watertight seal in all these boxes. Like I said, that's one of the things I complain about with the cheaper ones. They don't have these watertight seals. And it's a very durable plastic material, so you're not going to be able to break it unless you're really trying. All right, so now we're on the medium size of the standard 3. All right, so this one you have the tool tray. Remember, there's got a bunch of screwdrivers and pencils in there. As you can see, he's got orange tape around his. This is something we did a long time ago to keep our tools separate. So him and me keeping our tools separate, or keeping other workers from using the same tools. Be careful with that. A lot of people do the same thing and use the same. You've only got so many colors of electrical tape. And then he's got drill bits, speed square. Easier to keep his stuff organized because he doesn't do this on a daily basis. Alright, so now we're on the third and final box. The clips for this box are on the sides instead of the front, like the other two. This lid, instead of flipping up on a hinge, pulls up and out. And then you've got a large storage space. Right now he's just got his meter in the bottom and a crowbar. This back part, it was made for like screwdrivers and stuff to go into and to keep stuff from bouncing around. It also, if you pull up on it, I'm not going to do it now, but you can pull this up and out if something were to fall in there. I just find that it's more or less in the way. I never really used it for anything because I just kept all my drills and stuff in the bottom. So that's it for the Rigid. I definitely liked it. And the price tag on Rigid versus Milwaukee, we'll throw that up on the screen. Last time I checked, there's about a $10 difference. So you're not looking at a huge difference in it, but it is a significant enough one to where you could buy a lot more of the additional boxes early on than you could if you were buying Milwaukee. And plus, I don't see as many of these Rigid boxes anymore as I do Milwaukee. Milwaukee's become more common. So if you're like me and you're trying to keep your stuff unique and separate, I would just base it off of whoever I'm working with on a regular basis. Try to keep them from mixing their stuff up with mine. All right, now on to the big bad Milwaukee Packout kit. So very nice and clean and organized. You can tell I haven't had this as long as the others. This kit, I'd say the top box is year and a half, 2 years old, and then everything below it, 2 years, 2.5 years old, right? Back when they first came out, I was real excited. Had to save up some money and bought them. So if we look at the top box, I've got some resistors in there and the line resistors for communication. I've got extra markers. You never have too many Sharpies. If we look at the lid on these Packout kits, they have depth to them, so they push down inside of these containers so things cannot get mixed up. So when you're filling these up, just keep in mind that some of that space needs to be left, so this can push down. It's a great feature. It's really, really nice. It's also how they lock their boxes together. All right, you got these little slide ins. And it makes a good tray for keeping screws and everything else in. All right, everything that Milwaukee did with these Packout kits is multi-use. A lot of these buckets can be interchanged on locations. All right, so we've just got some butt splices, self-tapping screws, resistors, Sharpies, different types of wire caps for different size wires. We've got beanies / dolphins, right? These are gel filled. Keep your wire from getting corroded. We've got the smaller self-tappers. If you guys have never seen a self-tapping screw, we're going to make another video on this, but it's just made for going into metal real easy. It's got kind of a spade head tip instead of that rounded tip. And more different types of splices, just to make wiring all nice, neat, and organized. Standard clips on the front, all the way down. You also got these nice little, I was going to say not on these, but on the bottom ones. Right, I use this to, whenever I'm hauling around in my pickup truck, I just put a bungee cord through here, and it keeps it from flipping and turning, slamming down on its front or back, keeps it from sliding around the back of the truck, messing stuff up. Different ways to do it, but that just works for me because I have a work truck and then I've got my personal truck. So this is a quick, easy way for me to pull stuff out of my work truck and put it in my personal truck. On the front, to move these out, you've got a black trigger switch. Right, and it's just push up and then pull out. To put it in, I guess we can go ahead and do that real quick. You put it down, but you don't put it down. You put it down a little bit forward facing. So just a little bit in the front. You'll feel it slide into place, and then you'll hear it click. And now you know it's locked. And I've never broken it, but I have carried, I carried 3 boxes off of these handles, and I've carried the big ones off one handle on those. So definitely pretty sturdy. I haven't been able to mess it up yet, but I haven't really tried to break it. Next up, we have a bunch of the Cat 5 tips, Cat 6 tips, whatever you want to call them. RJ45 connectors, and different things that are specialty connectors for access cameras. Got some sticky backs, like we'll talk about all these things in detail over time. A little bit of Velcro for whenever we're in the telecom room, because they don't like to see zip ties in there. Next up, we have the deeper containers. So we went from the shallow containers to these deeper ones. All right, so this is where I keep all my electrical fittings. I'm not an electrical installer, but I still end up having to do a little bit of conduit on occasion. So it's nice having at least enough to throw a couple panels up on the wall where needed. A couple of one-hole straps. Had a refill on these recently. Get some more grommets. Same thing with the top. Fits down inside. Keeps things from getting mixed up. Again, same thing. Same style box. Nice and deep. We've got some magnets. Got a couple of steel beam clamps. Door contacts, stuff for another video. This is the top of the 3. So when you buy these kits, right, so the rigid box comes with 3 on its initial. You get the rolling bottom, you get the mid-size, and then you get the smaller top. Same thing with Milwaukee. You get the rolling bottom, you get the middle size, and then you get the top. This top box, and you'll see Milwaukee, all the additional boxes have clear tops. All the standards have black tops. This does come with a little bit of organization, so you can see that rigid and Milwaukee are the same in this. On that or the top box, you've got 2 dividers on the side. These trays come out. You've got more trays in the bottom. These are out of one of my Husky toolboxes. I just thought they made better organizers. As you can see, the plastic is broken. One of the downfalls. Another organizing case. It's just clipped together shut. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in here yet. We talked about it with rigid, didn't talk about it with Milwaukee yet. They've got the nice weather seal going around every single box, all the way around. It's very important if your truck, if your toolbox ever gets left in the back of the truck or outside. One thing that you could probably do to keep all these boxes locked is you can probably just, what I'm planning to do is buy some steel cable and just run some steel cable through here. I'm going to try to keep the loop small enough to where it'll fit through there on all of them. But worst case scenario, I can just put one lock on every single box. Just not really what I want to do. But tools do have a tendency to walk off on job sites. Alright, so here's my middle-sized box. Got another unibit in there. We'll talk about all these tools in detail. This thing's pretty neat. My girlfriend saw it on a Facebook ad, asked me if I'd like it, and got it for me for my birthday or Christmas one year. So you can find them, I think, at Home Depot now, but you used to have to order them offline. Very useful in the low voltage industry and as an electrician. We've got some other different tools in here, some more Milwaukee stuff. And then we've got, a staple gun. I don't recommend using staple guns for anything as far as wiring is concerned, but some people will need it for certain stuff. We were using them to put up postings. We had to post certain written documentation, and we were trying to just use tape, but the tape would peel off, and they were laminated, so we were just stapling them to wooden backboards. But two nice pull-out trays. I believe one of these pull-out trays was in the rolling box to start with, and I just put them both in here. A lot of the stuff with Milwaukee and Rigid are interchangeable, and I'm sure DeWalt's the same. I'm sure DeWalt's the same way with its box. Nice large sturdy handle. And now we're on the rolling box. Probably my favorite box out of them all. As you can see, I've got a bunch of trash in there right now. The reason there's a lot of trash in here is the project I'm working on, all I need is a drill, some screws, some sticky backs, and cable ties. So I just put all my material in here, and I use this sort of as a trash box because I have to park 2 to 3 blocks away from the job site and walk to it every day. And that's why this is great, is I can just load it up with whatever I need, throw some water bottles in it, throw my lunch in it, and I'm just having to haul around one box instead of a bunch. I don't need my laptop, so I just take this instead. The other cool thing about this rolling box, right? I've had people ask me what this metal bar on the bottom is for. That is so you can strap things to your box, right? So you can just take any kind of strap. So I got a bungee cord, for example, and you can just loop it to the back. I'm trying to do this with one hand. And you see that metal bar right there? That is what you can strap it to. So I'll cut back to this image in a second. All right, so we've got our package strapped up. So a lot of network engineers I've seen, or IT guys, whatever their titles may be at the time, like to haul around switches or PCs, because you can stack a whole bunch of stuff on here. And just, run that strap across the top and you're good to go. Or on the sides, you do have these pull-out handles. You can technically strap to these, just be a little bit gentler with it, and run it a long ways. And that way, you're not hauling a dolly around all day, every day. You can just haul your toolbox around, carry your material, carry your parts, pieces, and save some time.